Welcome to today's video. I am so glad that you're here. In this session, I'm going to walk you through one of the most impactful brain rewiring exercises that I used to overcome chronic pain, chronic fatigue, and even sensitivities. This one practice became a turning point in my recovery, and it's still something that I return to today. So if you stay through the end, I'm actually going to share with you how you can take this deeper inside my recovery program. And I'll also give you a special bonus so you can start applying these principles today. Now let's get started. So I want to talk about something important. Pain isn't just physical. When we're dealing with chronic symptoms, what we're really dealing with is a brain and nervous system that's actually stuck in a loop of overprotection. You see, there are actually 16 centers in your brain designed to process pain, but they don't just process pain. They also process things like sound, light, smell, touch, and when the brain is in survival mode for long enough, these centers can actually start to misfire. And then ordinary sensations can actually begin to be interpreted as pain. Now, this is one of the main reasons why many people actually feel overwhelmed by light, noise, or even gentle movement. And it's not all in your head. It's in your brain's wiring. I remember when I was in the thick of chronic pain or chronic fatigue and all kinds of sensitivities, nothing I did seemed to touch it. I had done everything. I had went to physical therapy, I did all the diets out there, a stack of supplements, rest, and even used strict avoidance, and still the pain persisted. It felt like my brain was constantly on and it was overreacting to everything. I couldn't even understand why simple things like light, sound, or even movement would cause such intense symptoms. And there was this one point in my journey where I genuinely believed that my body had actually just given up. I couldn't go for a walk without crashing. If I would sit longer than an hour, I would have intense debilitating pain. And even the sound of the dishwasher would be extremely overwhelming. And I was just exhausted. It was the whole entire process of being chronically ill was exhausting. But every time I kept going back to my doctors, they would say everything's normal, the labs are normal. But the good news is one day I came across a story when I was in a flare, and I found someone that actually healed not by changing their environment, but by changing the way that their brain actually responded. And it hit me like a lightning bolt. I was doing everything I could to avoid triggers, but I hadn't addressed the root cause, which was an overprotective brain and nervous system. And that was actually my turning point. I began practicing a brain retraining exercise each day, one that focused on sending signals of safety to my nervous system. And this way, instead of running from all the symptoms and trying to fix it, I started showing my brain a new way to interpret them. And of course, it wasn't instant, but it was real. And over time, my symptoms started to fade and I could eat more, I could move more, and now I'm living my life fully with no pain or no fatigue. So it wasn't just about fixing my body. It was about teaching my brain that I was no longer in danger. And I remember I was working with a doctor and they had introduced me to this brain retraining visualization that actually focused on calming down the pain centers in the brain. And he explained that the brain has 16 different regions and that they process pain and sensory information. And when those areas become hyperactive, the brain can actually start to view normal sensations as painful. So I started viewing every single wave of pain not as a setback, but as an opportunity to rewire. And over time, things started to shift. I started being able to tolerate things more, my sensitivities went down, and I started getting more energy, and I felt like myself again. So I didn't have to keep micromanaging my symptoms. It was all about retraining my brain the way that it would respond to everyday life and normal stimuli. I was actually rebuilding my nervous system from the inside out. So I want to share with you this visualization about dimming the pain centers because it was the single most effective tool that I used in my recovery. And it gave me a sense of control, hope, and momentum. And it actually was the one thing that worked when everything else seemed to fail. And now I teach it inside my Brain Rewiring 360 program because it actually works. So if you're dealing with any kind of fatigue or sensitivities or chronic pain or any kind of symptoms that just won't budge, you're not alone. And the good news is that your brain is adaptable and we can start reversing this today. So I want to get started and give you a quick example of the exercise. Now let's try it together. Just close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And just bring your attention to where the pain seems to live. Maybe it's in your head, or your neck, or your back, or somewhere else. Just visualize the space glowing bright red hot spots. And as you exhale, watch the glow dim. And imagine it fading away till it completely, eventually disappears. And try it again. Inhale, see the light return slowly. And as you exhale, watch it fade even more till it eventually dissolves. And this is one of the fastest ways to teach your brain that it's safe and that it doesn't need to stay on high alert. And the key with this entire practice is to be consistent, because the more consistent you are, the more effective it is. And of course, it's not going to happen. It's not an overnight fix or anything like that. For me, it did take several weeks of consistent practice before I started seeing results. So I didn't see any kind of change overnight, and it's really going to take repetition. And this is how neuroplasticity works. And the good news is God made our brain neuroplastic so that we can carve in these new neural pathways through repetition. And we don't have to live with our chronic symptoms. Most people give up before these new neural pathways take place. But if you can view these symptoms, the symptom flares, as an opportunity to rewire, that's when things actually can shift. And this is really powerful, that if you can just start viewing these flares as opportunities, and you are going to have setbacks and there are going to be frustrating days. I do get that. But every single time, just see it as an invitation to rewire your brain. And I promise you it'll get easier over time. So the good news is that it is something that you can overcome. In fact, I just want to quickly share with you a client that I had that went through this exact same process. And she was dealing with chronic fatigue, whole body pain, and with a couple of months of daily visualization, her pain went completely away. And when we introduced her to incremental training, she was able to start moving her body slowly, and over time her energy started to return. And she was able to go back to work and live her life fully again. But the good news is that we see these kind of wins over and over in our program, and it has to be done strategically so that you don't get a crash. But we will teach you step by step and help you overcome any kind of fatigue or chronic pain, any of these issues. We're able to help you through our program, and so that if you have any kind of crashes, or if you're dealing with any kind of if you try to exercise a little bit and you have a crash, then these symptoms are definitely something that you can work with incremental training. And if you have a lot of symptoms that doctors don't seem to have an answer for, then just simply head on over to our brainrewiring360.com, sign up for a free discovery call. I do think there's a few spots left. Oh yeah, also just check out our online recovery program. It's 60% off this month. Check out the details in the description. Either way, you can set up a free discovery call so that you can start rewiring your brain to get healthy and start living again. So you're not alone, you're not broken, your brain is neuroplastic, and these symptoms can be overcome through the power of neuroplasticity. So if this helped you, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs hope, and drop a comment below telling me what you're working on to rewire your brain. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a blessed day.